I've been in a state. Not a fugue state, very aware of what's happening. It's just I've been feeling a lot of emotions. And I feel every emotion, pretty much as extreme as you can. I have borderline personality disorder. I'm also bipolar. So not only are my emotions heightened, I feel them for a very long time. Oh. But also, my mood swings have been like, and that's because I've been thinking about a specific person. From years ago, actually. Showing up with a letter, trying to finally get a conversation after it all, but... And when I say letter, it was digital, but it was a picture of one page of a handwritten letter. And like the old days, I think it will go unanswered. Probably not unread because it was only one page, unlike the insanity I was going through. I was the victim. Let's get that straight. I just, the thing about undiagnosed borderline personality disorder, it's very easy to be taken advantage of. And I was also in denial about it. And I've been saying this over and over again. It's hard for me to move on when my brain just forces me to think about it. And I can't just make it go away. Like, I try to distract myself. I try to just watch TV, but the noise of my head, it doesn't let me focus. I've been able to watch some TV lately. But I haven't really had a hyperfixation, which usually that leads me to just feel kind of bleh, uninspired. I wouldn't say depressed, just uninspired, because when I'm inspired, it's exhilarating, and I make art, and I make art, and I make art, and it's my most favorite thing in the world. I make a bunch of letters just because I like talking, knowing that one day someone will see those letters as long as I keep them with me. They're digital. And I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. So my letter told them to look at my blog. And you may say this is a public video letter. What if they see this and not the messages you actually intended for them? Well, then they'll go and see the messages intended for them. But, I don't want to be spewing my personal issues on the internet. I much prefer to talk about Destiel, OTP, Kirk, Spock, OG, Mpreg. I was not given the ability to actually say any of it. Because I ran away. People take my big emotions and they completely discredit everything else I have to say. But you know who wouldn't do that? Dan and Phil. And I know Dan and Daniel Howell and Phil Lester personally, parasocially. And Daniel Howell said it many times that he loves drama. Like, they'll be playing one of those, like, question games, and he's just like, when he talks about wanting to hear anything. So Daniel Howell would actually, look, he's on my TV screen. Oh, there's him again. He would fucking love to hear all about this, and he'd be just like, no! And then they'd give me a credit card. It was so bad, bruh. Imagine someone walks into your life, unleashes things from previous situations, and also just undiagnosed personality disorder, and then every single decision they make actively ruins your mental health, actively tears you apart even more, and then they keep coming back and giving you false hope, which was worse than just straight up being cruel, because if you were straight up cruel to me, then I would have to listen, and I would have to understand that you were not good to me. But because you kept giving me the most inkling amount of kindness, I thought that meant that I would get it again in the future. And I was kept on the line, unable to think about anything else. And as bad as it has been now, because I've had the resurgence of past emotions, that's a whole thing. The way I feel could be a whole video in itself. But I'm talking about this because there are people who they don't understand themselves, they don't understand their emotions, they've never had anyone to relate to. I have become that person. Sure, nobody is me. Nobody has whatever's going on with me. But also part of that is because I'm an amazing artist. Everything, but it's the way I cope. It's all I have. Is the art I make. And I was like, if my letters are going to be rejected and they're going to be unopened, then fuck you. I'm going to post the best ones online. Now, some of them would probably only be on my Tumblr, but also it's like, then my letters are there, and I have one of the posts in the tag I left for them, hoping that they would find. And it's not hard to find. Usually, I hide stuff in my blog, but it's meant to be so easy for the people who it's actually intended for to find. They just have to think for a moment, and also I made it really easy to find, but it's obvious that most of the words, they are worthless. But I just thought maybe after all these years all these years, it's only been 2. But nope. But honestly, that's a personal problem, that's a skill issue. Wanting to ignore me, not liking me, it was all just like, blah, 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 you're an amazing person, but I don't want you to care about me as much as you do. Yeah, well, that's because you only wanted to have sex with me, but then for some reason you just did what you did and forced me to live months in torture, and then actively watched every decision you make plunge me worse into hell. And I was very upfront that I'm an insane person. And people, they're like, oh, you're so insane, that's so fun. But then they experience my anguish. And then they don't know what to do with me. So they throw me away, but then they try and do it over time. So then it's, oh, blah, 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 not wanting to set me off. But it's like, when I'm set off, I just get really sad. I do my best not to get angry, but also because, they were my favorite person, which is a borderline personality thing. It literally did not matter how they treated me, I would have defended them. And they would tell me, oh, blah, 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 it's been rough. So I was like, oh, I'm such a terrible person for just wishing that they would talk to me. It's so much for them just to even every once in a while say blah, blah, blah. No, they just didn't give a fuck about me. And they still don't. Which is crazy. Me? Me? We're in this deep, damn it, Phil. We're in this deep. I mean, I've been feeling a little I mean, it's not as bad as it was, because I'm also not having to be around them every day, because they did this before we were in a show together, and only ever had a conversation with me like 5-10 minutes before rehearsal when I was very obviously too upset to even speak. And then they never spoke to me again, besides when occasionally they would randomly be somewhat pleasant, but most of the time they would just ignore me. And then after I got hit by a car, they offered me Advil when there was no one else in the room. And I was all defensive. I was like, no, I'm fine. And they were like, no, I insist. And it was things like that I'd be like, okay, well, I have to go cry now. What the fuck does that mean? Like, when I say I'm emotional, I'm talking about, like, I could barely function. I would go to my class, and then I would go to a stairwell, and I would sob for probably, like, 30 minutes. And then I would get back to it, and, I would just start spontaneously crying all the time. And it was very obvious that I was, everyone knew about this, but it was a theater kid, so everyone's all talk, and also nobody cares about emotional damage. They only care if there's something that's, like, so terrible that it's, like, basically a crime. That's the only time that anybody ever stands up for anything, unless you're me, and I'm awesome. I ended up quitting theater because they all fucking suck. Like, I know we talk about mean girls, but we need to talk about mean gay cunts. Fucking fuck. And sometimes people are like, I agree with you, but it's just cunt. That's because I'm pissed off and I'm gonna call them a bitch-ass motherfucking cunt. And also, fuck sanitization. Like, if I go live on TV, it's gonna be like that episode of 30 Rock where they're like, we need the whatever guy to bleep all of these curse words. And that's what's gonna happen. Like, they're gonna be trying so hard to censor me, but I'm gonna say it in a way. The thing about bleeps is you still know what that person is saying, unless it's Arrested Development and it's funnier, where they, like, cover up the mouth with the blah 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 blah. But I'll find a way. I will always find a way so people know, the people who my message is intended for will know what I'm saying. Oh, I'm confusing, and I love confusing people. People would get confused by my poetry and the stuff that I did on purpose, and they'd be like, I don't get this is confusing to the reader. And then I would be posting that same poetry on Tumblr, and people would be like, that sounds like a skill issue. I know exactly what it means. I definitely grew as a poet. My standards for my own work have increased, but also I kind of like my older poetry in that it's less polished. It is all just my stream of consciousness. It's just my stream of consciousness has been sad, and it's harder for me to express those words. And also, when I'm emotional, it's not grounded in reality, because it's like it's just been me reliving the emotions that this person put me through. And I've been talking about this in ways and making some videos that I could post, but my laptop has been corrupting them. So I talk for like 20 minutes and then I click the end video and it just shows 0 and it's a blank screen. So I hope that doesn't happen now. But I used to be like, no, fuck, but now I'm just like, I can say it again later. Say it again funnier, but I won't feel like this forever. Feel down. It's 3:07 a.m., and it's not that I stayed up late, it's that I probably fell asleep around like 9. It was while it was still bright outside, but it's summer. This is me in my true Yowie form. The Indian peafowl of Dan and Phil's long-lost emperor child. And there's a photo on my Tumblr where I'm holding them like this, and you just see just this streak of teeth. I persist. That video isn't posted. It's a private video journal, but if it's one of the ones where I'm talking to Dan and Phil, because I say this, they don't know me, but they care more than the person who I've been writing letters in vain, too. But it's fine, because what I have published is beautiful, the art I make. I can read one of my poems. Maybe it'll mean something else when I read it out loud, just like how it did, because it changes. I say, none spare words for my sorrow. At least I'm good at finding answers. That's about how people never know what to say to me. Like, my one friend, like, he was great. He would let me text him every single fucking day for, like, 6 months, just going, do you hate me? Do you hate me? Do you hate me and want me to die? Do you hate me? And he'd just go, nope, nope, and no. And I was like, are you lying? Are you just saying that? And he'd go, nope. Like, because he knew I needed that. I desperately, desperately needed that. The way you shattered me, I couldn't pick up the pieces without my fingers sliced. I have another line of poetry where I say skin cut on the shatters of my heart or whatever. You knew no matter how you treated me, I'd cry, thinking you were the one in pain. How dare I be so selfish? See, I just went on a whole thing about that earlier, and what do you have? That exact same sentiment. You are able to understand all of that in 5 lines of poetry, and so people can take their own meaning, whatever. I have handwritten poetry I wrote before I started doing this in the way that I send letters, which is an elaborate multimedia, multi-platform. It's a trans narrative. What's the word? Something storytelling. And a lot of people get really annoying with it because it's like Marvel movies do it, but they do it in a capitalist way to where it's like, let's make as many video games, comics, movies that people have to pay for, and they have to watch every single one of them to even understand what's happening. For me, that's kind of how my blog has worked, but you don't need the context to understand part of it, to get things from it. But if you want to find the context, it's there. All you have to do is go through my blog, and I've archive into the blog of Split Level House, a blog explanation. Also, Tumblr tag system, if you want to understand that, because that's how my blog is organized. Everything I have is meant to be posted forever. Like, so many people, they have things, me when my 7-year-old Tumblr post gets liked, and I'm like, me when my 7-year-old Tumblr post gets liked, I get to reblog it saying someone liked this, and 7 years from now, the posts I'm making now will be those old-ass posts, and a year ago I decided that everything I make is intended to last forever. It is a time machine, but it's also timeless. Because it's not 2011, but it feels, I have that energy in the way that I'm a real person just talking to my laptop, because everything I do, it's inspired by Dan and Phil. It is very obvious to tell that early Dan and Phil are my inspiration. I just want to be a blogger. I just decided, I'm gonna be a blogger like it was in the old days. If you're wondering, I have this, and I'm rolling out my arm muscle. But honestly, the thing about being a blogger and being an artist, for me, first of all, I have weird fingers. They bend backwards, which makes sometimes playing instruments a little wacky, because, well, that's not really it. When I'm trying to do whatever, when playing piano, it's like my finger will go. And when I was almost a flautist. I almost played the flute in middle school. But, then I got a concussion from a church camp that put me on bed rest for 3 months, and then it took me 3 months for my symptoms to go away. 3 months after that, when I was in school, I was having to wear sunglasses and earplugs. And at first, I only went to my final 2 classes, and one of those was from with the bitch ass social sciences teacher, and they were like, I just feel like they don't talk enough during class. I'm concussed. And I had one teacher to where I'd be like, I don't mean to be like terrible, but everyone's talking and it's loud in here and it's making my brain explode. And it wasn't even in an autism way. It was in I was recovering from a physical condition and I had an IEP and everything like that. It was easy catching up with my work, and I stayed in the study skills class for like a whole year because I was able to do my homework in it, and I just didn't give a fuck. People were like, "Why are you in this?" And I was like, you don't need to be in this class anymore. You've recovered." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm just in it to do my homework." So then I don't have to do it at home. Handwritten poetry. I don't know. Yeah, this is me hanging out with my laptop, and I have plenty of videos like this with like 4 views. And I may go through and private some of them, but also I think it'll be a fun visual thing to be able to tell the eras of my videos just from the backgrounds. Because this is where I am right now. I've basically been a hermit. An artistic hermit. And it's not that I want to spend all my time alone, it's the state of Georgia isn't a fan of me. But I'm going to California in a month, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so awesome. Part of the reason why I'm just like, c'est la vie, when my posts get destroyed is I still gotta keep myself company. And it's a different feeling when my laptop is recording, because it's like there's someone listening to me, because, I mean, where I am now, there pretty much always will be, even if it's just 1 or 2 people. I love when I get a comment where someone's like, 4 views? How did I get here? I fucking love it. I'm investing in this, and I'm like, your investment may come through years later. And then you'll be like, I watched that I remember that Split Level House video. I watched that when nobody had seen it. Like, you people who are here right now, whenever I'm doing whatever, whenever everyone is like, Split Level House, you'll be like, I was on the Split Level House when everyone was calling them a schizo. So, and I'm gonna be insane. I'm always gonna be insane. I'm an insane person. I have many, many disorders. But that is where true artistry comes from. And it's why I'm irreplicable. True sorrow holds irreplicable beauty. That's not what Frederick sounds like. He sounds like this. Hey, yo, what's up? My name is Frederick. He's always saying that. He likes to groove. He's a big fan of vintage Polish music. I don't have Wolfie with me, but Wolfie really likes cool jazz. So I like both. My handwritten poetry, my soul was torn by your hand. I wanted you to tend to my wounds, not rip me from my state of mind. And then I was like, why me? I'd hoped my words got through and were more than just noise. I don't expect it all to be read, just enough to get a look inside my head. That rhyme is a little corny, but it was just what I wrote. I wrote it in pen, so. You bit off more than you could chew, an abandoned ship, leaving me to drown. I feel like someone's probably written that exact same whatever before. It's a very common sentiment, I feel. Sometimes I just randomly get strings of words in my head and then I just write them down. And that's typically what I do, is I just close my eyes and type. I said, did you think we could have some time for more than what wasn't? To find somewhere too old to die? Time without thought, destiny defined through distance, That doesn't sound right. There should be more than one word. Originally it was one world, but I kind of liked, for a second I saw it as one word, and I kind of liked that better. There should be more than one word, as opposed to there should be more than one world. I play with syntax a lot. Again, the being repeatedly ghosted thing was really hard for me, because I was talking with JJ, my maintenance guy, and he was like, I'm someone who's very light on my feet, and, blah, blah, blah. If something isn't right, I'm just out of here. And I was like, the way I am is when I care, I am rooted into the ground. It literally does not matter what happens. And he was like, no! Don't know! You can't, you have to, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm not like that so much anymore. When I just decided that I don't want my life to be filled with blah, blah, blah tragedy, the point of suffering is to understand what others are lucky to never experience. Why would you let me suffer to keep coming back, say exactly what I needed? I gave you the book on how to make me believe. You cared? And the way my poetry visually looks is very different. If you want to read some of this, you can go to tumblr.com/splitlevelhouse and then tagged/poetry, and that's how you can just type it. Or you can just go to my blog and then click the little magnifying glass and search whatever, and it's very intuitive. I have my poem. Kirksbach, the premise, originated everything. But Destiel OTP, sorrow holds irreplicable beauty. And I have videos where I tried quoting that, and I failed. I would get in my head about saying irreplicable, which means not replicatable. It's not technically a word, but I really like using it. Like the bossa nova, love should swing. That's, a song lyric. I have my post about this person. Is you don't deserve me. I know my worth. But that's not the point. And I say, doing my own thing. Whenever I doubt myself, I keep making art. I'll regain my composure. Gracious, I never stopped. There's this picture of Kermit. It says, when life shuts a door, open it again. It's a door. That's how they work. And then I posted this one gif. It's of this old guy smoking a cigarette, and he's like... And I use that a lot. If you use Tumblr a decent amount and use the GIF search, you will know exactly what I mean. And I say, I open the door until it's broken off, or I'm boarded out. I also always come back. It doesn't matter. Whatever. I always come back. But that's because you can never... people are like, blah, 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 digital footprint. Not everyone should just say everything. Not me. I say everything that comes out of my head because my thoughts are amazing. And I'm amazing. And I do whatever I want. And I can do whatever I want because I'm Danenfield's long-lost Emberg child. I'm a Yowie wizard with magic Yowie mind powers. I'm the Gleepster. Did I say I was Danenfield's long-lost Emberg child? Oh, I have a 2-line poem. How could you watch me suffer? Dig the knife in deeper. And then it's tagged Desolation and Turmoil, which is a tag I have. It's a lot of screenshots of me and my private video journals of my facial expressions. But there's this... I can't explain it. There's this one post where it's a picture of the tags I recently visited, and I was just like, fuck. It was Phil Lester and Kermit the Frog in Desolation and Turmoil. And you have to look at the post yourself. One of the poems I actually worked on. That wasn't just my stream of consciousness, I mean that I edited it. My besotted naivety, enamored insanity, walking over me, exploiting missteps. easier than stairs. And that's shaped like a stair, and inside I say, I liked hiking. Deluded whispers, misconstrued affection as care, heedless my lunacy, Carrier unthinkable, the gift of false hope was worse than cruelty. And one of my friends has been commenting on my poetry, saying, like, I'm having to look up some of these words. Thank you, this is so good for my skibbity brain rot kind of vocabulary. She doesn't even, like, have TikTok or anything like that. It's just from fucking memes. Skibbity dibbity chungus bungus. I have this one post that I was like, skibbity jizz or whatever the kids are saying. I'm looking at my poetry. I said the jester's tired of juggling. In sways the philosopher. Oh, one of my posts has 22 notes, and it's a goof. It says, here's the what. What thing is? What can I think? Which is a Dan and Phil reference, but I'm going to reblog it with the tag 22, because I like tagging my posts with the numbers I see in that moment, so then you can randomly click on a number tag and it'll just show you these posts. And so it's kind of just like this random assortment completely based on coincidence. It's my own form of numerology, which is just pattern recognition, and I see things. I see things nobody notices. Za miłość tak ziemska I piosenki stare jak świat. Kochajcie mnie. In another world, you should act accordingly. I write down every thought, but I am plagued with those I cannot utter, longing to tell you without words. Maybe it's the music I hark, an old kind of love, the light of their torch, leading me to the profound. Love in all its forms, luminous grass blades, leaf stapling shadows. Perhaps it's all to do with me, and how I see beauty.